What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Dead Funny Review Show. I am your host, Chris. Joining with me today is my lovely co-host, Kelsey. Kelsey, how are we doing?
Absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic, and that's because she has seen Captain Marvel and I have not. So,
Shame and shun and just I can't begin to express my disappointment in you as a person.
It's true. I'm a terrible human being, for sure.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I do want to state two things. One, I just got through recording with Dark Star. I was talking to Tony about this, and he for sure was like, "You're just gonna lie and say that you watched the movie?" I would never do that. That will never happen. You'll never come to this channel and hear me lie about some bullshit. I'm completely fine with coming straight out and be like, "Look, this didn't happen." So it didn't happen. I didn't go see the movie. Now, my second statement. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this movie. And I do want to point out, I'm not in any way, shape soever, whatever. Fuck, I can't even talk right now. God damn, I'm so tired. Long day today. In no way, in any shape or form, whatever fucking analogy you want to use, am I protesting this movie. It has zero to do with any of that. It's long fucking week-long weekend. It's been crazy, guys. It's been crazy. I will get out there. I'll have to for sure see it before the Avengers, because that would be dumb if I didn't. I'll put it this way. I watched Ant-Man Midnight Release. I did not see Ant-Man 2 Midnight Release, and I thought it was a bad movie, so I did not care to go see Ant-Man 2 at all. I didn't watch Ant-Man 2 until like 2 weeks after it was on Netflix. Unfortunately, I don't have the same luxury with Captain Marvel. Not saying I think it's a bad movie, because Avengers is right around the fucking corner. So I do have to jump on that one a tad bit sooner than I did Ant-Man. So I will be going and seeing it in theaters, hopefully this weekend coming up. I'm not going to make any for sure dates, because at the moment I can't keep it. So, but when it happens. So this will be a little bit different of a review show, which I think will be kind of neat. Kelsey will be here as the MCU fan that she is. As we like to call them, the comic book universe, the cinema casuals, and I'll be here as the comic book fan to tell her where her movie was wrong, where her comic was right. Although we've already done a DFU, so she knows pretty close to all the knowledge that I already know on Captain Marvel. I mean, not exactly, but close enough. She knows the base knowledge.
I put in all this effort to learn all of these things, and I can't get above casuals. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Screw you.
You got a little ways to go.
That's probably true.
DFU started in like January, all right? You got a little bit left to go, all right? It's only fucking March. Chill your britches down, all right?
Can I have a participation trophy?
She's like, 4 months of you telling me what these characters do versus years of you reading it? Oh, this is bullshit. You calm down just a little bit, all right? Good
Never.
Lord. Good Lord. Okay, so Captain Marvel. So first we'll start with information and facts that we know. Captain Marvel. Human turned Kree. Yay, nay?
Yay, but it's more complicated than that.
All right, well, hit me with the complicated facts. Let's dive into it.
So,
before you get into it, spoiler alert. There will be spoils in here. It's happening. We're talking about the movie. We're doing a full review. This is not a spoiler-free review whatsoever. If you want a spoiler-free review, go watch DFU Captain Marvel to learn who the fuck she is without knowing what was in the movie. Anyways, continue on, Kelsey.
All right. So the movie originally shows you Carol Danvers as she's just called Veers. Okay. And they show her as a Kree, and they kind of like throughout the movie people are kind of hinting that she's not normal for some reason. She's giving off a weird energy signature or something like that. Okay. And what we eventually find out through the course of the movie is, yes, the whole explosion, she got some Kree stuff on her, turning her into a Kree, is true, but they made it a little bit more complicated and different in that she's also infused with a bunch of Tesseract energy. Okay. And that was actually the movie seemed to hint that the Tesseract energy is more what the source of her powers are than the Kree.
Okay, so is Veers her Kree name?
So, yeah, sort of.
Okay. Sort of. Gotcha.
It that one it's not really a spoiler, but since you haven't seen it, I want you to see it because it'll make sense.
Okay.
But yeah, let's go with Cree name.
All right. Cool. Cree name. Got it. All right. Maybe. Chris Easter egg. All right. That's what we'll go with. All right. So she does get the explosion happen.
Mm-hmm.
Did she actually assume the role? Like, was there actually like some kind of promotion that got her to get into, I'm guessing, a lab where this explosion happened?
So the explosion didn't happen on a lab, actually. She
Okay.
was a fighter pilot. She was shot down, and she was carrying an energy source for Dr. Lawson,
Okay.
and that energy source was shot by Dr. Lawson, so it didn't fall into enemy hands. And
Ah.
that was the explosion. And so they're out on a battlefield, and Dr. Lawson's shouting a bunch of stuff at her that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And she's like, "What the hell are you telling me?" And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, explosion. And that's kind of how that went down.
Gotcha. So it was destroy that at all costs, even if it kills whatever the
Yeah.
fuck her name is. All right. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a little bit different in the origin there. All right. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see. So where was she, or what was the point in her moving the energy source? Were they worried about being captured, or were they taking it somewhere in order to try something with it?
They were trying to take it up to the Dr. Lawson's secret lab, where that doctor is doing, and we find out over the course of the movie, that doctor was doing secret experiments on that energy source to try to use it to transport a large group of people, a large group of refugees in particular, out of the galaxy.
Okay. Got you. Got you. It's interesting. Interesting. So trying to use it like a portal, if you will.
I think it was more going to be used to power a ship, but it is
Oh, okay.
possible. But
Gotcha.
it's not the energy source is not in a form that you could just
I
plug an
gotta,
engine into.
yeah, I gotta remember the fact that that movie takes place way before the technology of like Iron Man and shit. Okay, so fair enough.
Way before, yeah.
Got you. Okay, so yeah, to power a ship, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so then let's see here. So we got the energy source. We move the energy source. So give me the lowdown on Goose, because everybody's gonna want to hear us talk about Goose. So give me the
Oh my
lowdown
gosh.
on Goose.
Goose is the best. So Goose shows up. Goose is Dr. Lawson's cat that loves Carol Danvers when she is Carol Danvers, which she originally was before she became Veers as a Cree.
Mm-hmm.
And when she returns to the same place where she was shot down, this cat is just like, "Oh, hey, I want to be friends with you." And she has no idea who this cat is and does not care and just kind of powers past it. However, Nick Fury, badass, mean, I don't smile at anything, nothing flusters me, Nick Fury, sees this cat and gets all adorable. "Oh my gosh, look at you, you're so fluffy." And we get to hear Nick Fury's happy cat voice, and it is the cutest thing. And so he's bringing this cat with him, and he and this cat just like attached to each other, and they are just happy as can be. And he's trying to protect it, and all of a sudden, just a massive tentacles comes out of its face and takes down a bunch of bad guys.
Oh,
And then he and this cat are inseparable.
fair enough. Fair enough. Alien kitty. All
Yep.
right. Goose. Got it. Got it. Got it. Does Goose's and Captain Marvel's like relationship ever build up a little bit better, or is it always just kind of like you're a Nick Fury's critter, get out of here type deal?
She does think like when she sees it in like action, she's like, "Oh, this is a helpful cat."
Fair enough.
But I don't think they ever become buddy buddy. Goose is kind of Nick Fury's thing.
Got you. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. All right. So now we got the lowdown on Goose. So I guess go ahead and tell me, how do Nick Fury and Carol Danvers connect in the movie?
Oh, I love this. So Carol Danvers is escaping from an enemy base because she's all Kree military and they're doing stuff and they're chasing stuff down and people go missing and they're gonna go find them. And she has to escape that base because all hell is broken loose. And she ends up in, I think, in an escape pod that takes her right to Earth, where she crashes into a Blockbuster video store, which is incredible.
Fair enough.
And she goes and finds a rent-a-cop and demands, like, hey, tell me where I can find like communicator parts, and they point her to a Radio Shack. And so when they call the sheriff's office, basically the rent-a-cop's like, hey, this is bigger than what I can handle. Nick Fury shows up and he starts asking her all kinds of questions, and she kicks some major ass, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna stay near you because you're suspicious as fuck and I don't know if you're good yet. So
There you go. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I like how they, do like all the throwbacks there with the Radio Shack and the Blockbuster, even though Radio Shack's technically not out of business, but it's getting there. It's getting there. I feel it's safe to say.
yeah.
If you're watching this and you work at Radio Shack, I'm not saying panic, but you might want to start looking. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
It might be good just to have your like, what is it?
Ready.
Resume ready. Maybe go through and update your LinkedIn. Like, that could be a good call.
That might be the way to go for sure. For sure. Just maybe. I mean, look at Toys R Us. I mean, that came out of nowhere. Radio Shack. Everybody's been kind of just waiting on it to happen. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Unless you worked at Toys R Us.
Gasp.
Unless you worked at Toys R Us, then you knew that shit was happening. I worked at Toys R Us. I knew that shit was happening. So it was like, we're how many $1 million in debt? What? We just bought FAO Schwartz and we're already in debt by $1 million? Now we're in debt even more? What? We just bought KBG Toys too? Okay, well, I know where this fucking boat's going. That was well before they went out of business, by the way. I'm 27 now, and I worked for Toys R Us when I was like 18, so yeah, it was a long time ago.
I like how you knew enough about debt even then to be just like,
yeah, for sure.
You cannot buy your way out of this debt. This is not going to work.
Well, it's like we have debt and we're losing to competitors, so we'll just buy out all of our competitors, but with what money, though? That's what I was saying. I'm like, but with what money, though? So, no. That 6 months turned in. I'll never forget that fucking filling out that application. It was like, how long do you plan on working here? 6 months. That 6 months turned to 6 years real quick.
Oh.
Real quick. Oh, young, naive Chris. Oh, well.
You just really believed in Toys R Us. I'm sure you did.
It's one of those things where I got like fucking like 4 promotions within like my first year. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm on a good pace. And I didn't understand that like low-level jobs, promotions don't mean a goddamn thing. It's just like a title to make you feel like you're useful when you're really not. You're just getting paid, like maybe $1 more than the fucking guy that's doing the exact same job next to you. You just happen to be there first. So yeah, no, it's a crock of shit. Oh well. I don't mean to crush anybody's spirit who's at a beginner job right now, because I'm still there with you. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't look at me and be like, oh, well, he's making YouTube money now, because guess what? We can't monetize shit, so I ain't making shit. Anyways. But, all right, so we got the link between them two. All right, so what is it? I'm going to take a stab in the dark here and say that the Kree invade Earth, and that's where the shit starts to hit the fan.
No.
No. Okay. Well, I was wrong. So, correct me.
So, the Kree are in a fight with a group called the Skrull.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's what I meant. Skrull invade Earth, not Kree invade Earth. My bad.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. The
Skrull
Skrull
can look like other people. They can also take other people's powers.
Yep.
Yep.
The Skrull are invading Earth. I think mostly because Carol Danvers kind of crash landed there. Like, that is the 100% the reason that they came to Earth. It has nothing to do with them wanting Earth. And then the Kree are using that as an excuse to kind of invade Earth. Yeah. Oh yeah, we got to save you from the Skrull. Well, we've only seen one of those, and you killed it. So yeah. It was kind of interesting.
Fair enough. It's actually kind of cool and actually kind of sad at the same time that they're doing it like that, because like it's cool that they're throwing like the throwback to the comics, because that's how that happened. But at the same time, like, that comic book series, if you will, was called The Secret War, and so much went down in The Secret War that it kind of sucks that it's getting papered over as just like half of a movie when it could be its own thing. I mean, obviously we have Infinity Wars, so it's like here's your big fucking trophy, you know. And we already technically got the Civil War, although it was nowhere near Civil War status in the comics. But like
Mm-hmm.
Secret Invasion, that's when Spider-Man first got the black Spider-Man costume. Um, God damn, so much shit happened in Secret War. One of my favorites, obviously, because I'm a fucking Deadpool fan, is it shows like all these fucking Skrull coming to fight all these other all these other Skrull, and all the Skrull that they were fighting were all Deadpool copies. And it's like what happens whenever most of the Skrull have like fucking Deadpool's healing factor where they can't fucking die, and they just start taking over the world. And then you just see Deadpool standing on top with his fucking thumbs up in the air like I've got an army. It fucking looks hilarious.
Now, real fast, why do you think it's being glossed over? Because we do know that there's going to be more Spider-Man movies. We do know that there's going to be others because before Infinity War, they actually had some of the titles out there. So we know that, or not the titles, excuse me, but we knew that they were coming. And so is it possible this is where they're going next?
I mean, I guess let me rephrase that. It sucks that if they do explore that avenue, it will be different people. After Avengers Infinity War, we're not getting Chris Evans as Cap. We're not getting Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. We're not getting Hemsworth as Thor. Like, we're losing.
Have they already come out and said that?
Yes, like that's the end of their road after that. Like they're done. I mean, you gotta think about it this way. Like, it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like we've had them for that long, but I mean, it's been like fucking 20 years since like the first Iron Man. You know, like this has been a fucking work in the making. Probably not actually 20 years. I think it's like around 15 or 16 actually. I think is the actual number. I could be wrong, but I know it's. I
was going to say
teens.
20 seemed a little high. I'm 26, and so I call crap on that.
True, fair enough. I'm 27. That makes total fucking sense. Let's see, Iron Man 1 release. It's looking like 14 years something. 2008. So, yeah, I was.
Okay, so 10 years. Right? So half of what you said.
Dimes, you know. I can sit here and argue like fucking oranges and apples all day. I mean.
Just ask Robert Downey Jr. if you could have the last 10 years of your life back. Would you care?
Would you care? Would you play Iron Man? That's the real question.
Yes, I believe he would. He really seems to like it.
Well, it's not necessarily say he really seems to like it. His life was legitimately in the pits before Iron Man. So, I mean, no one would hire him because he was a drug addict. So, and he just came fresh out of rehab, and no one trusted him. And Stanley was like, "Give that man a suit." And Iron Man was born. Boom. Well, at least on the comics, or in the fucking movies, by the way. But yeah. So, like I said, it really is really interesting to see. I mean, and that's why I say it like that. I mean, yeah, they could possibly. I mean, they're gonna need other big fights, and it makes sense to go to like, okay, cool, we gave you Infinity War, now we're gonna give you the Secret Invasion. Maybe down the road they'll actually do the Civil War the way it should be done. I mean, because I mean the Avengers Infinity Stone or Infinity Gauntlet was the first time we got to see the magnitude of superheroes all on the same screen together. It doesn't even come close to the Civil War, obviously, because the Civil War literally affected everybody. The only people who were really out was like Colossus went back to Russia, was like, fuck this, I'm not dealing with this. I think Punisher and Moon Knight and Deadpool went down to Mexico and got away from it as well. I mean, Punisher and Moon Knight because they didn't want to have anything to do with it. Deadpool because no one would allow him to be on their team. Yeah, like Captain America and Iron Man both came up to Deadpool and was like, absolutely not. You're not going to be on our team. Like,
you're a nightmare and you can't be controlled.
No one likes Deadpool. I mean, and then pretty much everybody else, you know, I mean, it was pretty much picking sides and, you know, who you felt the most comfortable with. And with Captain America basically getting assassinated, like, pretty close to this beginning of it, you know, I mean, a lot of people didn't really understand what Cap's side of it all, or Cap's whole side of it was, so... Which that was one of the coolest things to me is in the video game Marvel Ultimate Alliance. That's the whole game is centered around the Civil War. So like you literally start out, you get to pick the characters you want, but you have to choose which side you want to go to, which is actually really cool because like you start off the game just your normal, you're going to Latveria, you're fighting against all this, but then it starts looking like you're invading Latveria, and a lot of people are having issues with that, but you're really there for Doctor Doom. and now Latveria is being looked at as like a victim, and so the government's cracking down. They're all like, we need to, make sure that you guys just aren't looking like you're walking over and doing everything. So one more slip up and you're fucked, type deal. And then this ragtag team of heroes is fighting against these people, and there's this guy named Nitro, and this chick throws him up against a bus. She's like, stop with your moves, Nitro. We're going to lock you up. And he's all like, oh, you haven't the faintest idea about my moves. And he blows up and takes out like a whole bunch of couple, like, when I say bus, I mean a school bus, by the way. So children involved, yes. And
God.
blows up a couple or like the neighborhood blocks. And then the government's like, that's it. Done. Like, Human Registration Act, bam. And that's what started the Civil War.
Jeez.
Yep. And then from that point, you had to sign up through the Human Registration Act. You had to give your full identity, where you lived, everything, and then you got assigned to a team, and you were told when you could activate and when you were supposed to just sit still and do nothing. The government controlled the entire aspect.
Yeah, that seems super shady.
Yep.
All parts of that.
Captain America was against it. Iron Man was for it. And Iron Man didn't believe, or Iron Man couldn't understand why Captain America was against it, solely for the fact that he's like, you're already deputized, people know who you are, everybody knows you're Steve Rogers. He's like, it doesn't matter, I'm not fighting for me, I'm fighting for them. We are more than entitled to have our secret identities. The moment people know who we are is the moment everybody we love dies. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Definitely not wrong, because that doesn't mean the supervillains are just going to stop either. They're still going to do what supervillains do. And now they have a lot more ammunition to do it. So, yeah, it became this whole fucking thing and split the fucking I almost said the MCU, the fucking Marvel Comics right down the fucking middle. And that was very, very interesting. And what was cool in the game is that you got to play through the first half of the game that you're just doing normal shit. And then whenever the Registration Act, as I told you earlier, or not during this, but off camera, Maria Hill was the person who started the Civil War. Like, she pretty much was like, because Nick Fury was nowhere to be found. And so you end up seeing her, and then it's like you have to choose. It's like, sign the papers or fight your guards and or fight the guards to get your way out of there. And so, like, if you have Deadpool on the team, God, I fucking love Deadpool because he's always breaking the fourth wall. So you fight the guards to get your way out, and then she's all like, you'll be sorry that you made this choice. He's like, whatever, I gotta save right before this, so I can always go back and choose the other choice if I want to. And that's so fucking good. I love Deadpool. He cracks me the fuck up.
That's so amazing.
It's so good. But anyways, so yeah, like I said, I mean, it was a huge deal in the comics. I mean, the Secret Invasion was fucking awesome. The Ulsa Scrolls were the fucking crazy ones, and those were the ones that found out and were strong enough that they could continue, or that they could actually contain more than one superpower. And the ones that ended up finding that out were the ones that went against the Fantastic Four. So they had all of the Fantastic Four's abilities in one scroll. Yeah, and they were fucking beasts. Like, they were rough to take down.
That sounds like a nightmare. Oh my gosh.
And one of the biggest things to come out of it was a scroll made himself look like Luke Cage and actually impregnated his wife Tigra with a Skrull baby. And that shit happened like whenever it took a while for that shit to actually come into play, and basically almost started off the whole fucking Secret Invasion again. Because like I said, a lot of these Skrulls, and as you probably saw in the movie, they could make themselves look like whatever they wanted. So it was very hard to tell them apart, and that was why it was a Secret Invasion. It caused a lot of issues between a lot of superheroes because they didn't know, am I actually fighting beside Spider-Man right now, or is this someone just fucking pretending and has stolen his powers? Like, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy in the comics. It was very interesting. So I would like to actually see that done justice. Not saying that like Captain Marvel attempted it, because they obviously didn't. They're just telling her part of the story, and her story kind of starts there. So it makes sense that they did that. I would just actually like to see that movie done justice, like the Infinity Wars is getting done. I think that would be very interesting. I would also like to see goddamn Age of Ultron done justice as well, than that piece of shit that we got shoved down our fucking throats with Avengers #2. That was fucking terrible. Terrible. Anybody that disagrees with me, you don't read the comics. Fuck off. I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. Get out of here. Get out of here. Anybody that thinks that movie was good, you have not read a fucking Ultron comic ever. It's never happened. I don't believe you. God damn it.
Chris is still salty about this.
Favorite Marvel villain, and they butchered the shit out of him. Oh, that movie was terrible. Good lord. Oh, anyways, Carol Danvers
Yes.
back on track. So they do invade. Kree step in.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So does Nick Fury? I mean, I find it hard to believe he doesn't, but Nick Fury has obviously idea of what the fuck is happening at some point. Like he notices, or he knows that they're Skrull. He knows that they can shapeshift. Da 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 da.
He learns that over the course of the movie. When we
Okay.
meet Nick Fury, he's not who we know him to be. He
Right.
is not
He's old
the
school.
guy that's in charge of all of this shit and knows everything. He is just slightly more than a paper pusher.
Because
And
Shield isn't
he's
even a thing yet, is it? Or is it?
nope. Shield's not a thing. Actually, no. Shield is a thing because he does
Yeah,
actually introduce himself as a Shield agent,
Yeah.
but it's not.
It's not what it was, because I remember
It's not what it
watching. I don't know if you ever watched it, but the Agent Peggy Carter.
I did not get to watch that, and I was
Yeah.
actually very disappointed.
Yeah, she was part of Shield too, and that.
She made Shield, didn't she?
I don't know if she made Shield. I think Shield was kind of already a thing. She was just the first female operative in Shield, so she had her own feminine triumph in there for sure to make her way through the ranks. A lot of people thought that she couldn't do it, but Shield was definitely still a thing before she came along. Because I remember her, she thought she was getting a job where she was just gonna be doing like the switchboard type deal. It was like that old school. And she walks into the room, and then the lady like does the whole switchboard, but she moves it into like this other plug that's kind of by itself. And next thing you know, it just like the walls open up, and she walks through, and the floor drops down. There's this whole like fucking secret organization underneath and shit like that. And I was like, okay, that's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. So yeah. So yeah, it was definitely a thing for sure.
Okay, so she did not actually create Shield. Got
No.
it. Sorry.
Nope. Okay, so Nick Fury somewhat gets an idea at some point. So do any of the Skrulls like actually have like any kind of like hint of superpowers, or they just
Oh
kinda
God,
like
yes.
Okay, so they are pretty
Oh,
fucking
God,
super
yes.
strong. Okay.
They were. Yes, they definitely. They're definitely way stronger than human beings, to say the
Right,
least.
for sure, for sure. Did they have anything that kind of like hinted at any other heroes, or is it just like they had just like all the standard base power that they were just given the Skrulls for the movie? Or did they all have like different unique things? So like I said, there were the Super Skrulls that were all Fantastic Four'd up. You know, the Skrulls that had, you know, Iron Man shit, fucking Thor shit, da 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 da. How you steal Iron Man's powers when he has none? I don't know. It didn't make sense, but they did it.
I do think they hinted or directly addressed the fact that there were some that could do different things. But I don't think that we had a grand tour of that with like different Skrulls doing like crazy different shit.
Okay, fair enough.
So
Fair enough. Well, if they ever do another movie, it'll obviously be something they fucking revisit, which would be great.
which would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, Secret Invasion was really, really cool in the comics. Okay, so then we've got that. So the fallout of that, obviously, or so does Captain Marvel. So first off, does she go by Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel in the movie?
She goes. I don't think anybody ever actually calls her Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Okay.
I don't think anybody calls her Miss Marvel either. Like I don't think it happens in the movie.
They just call her Danvers or Carol or
They call her Carol, mostly Carol.
Carol. Okay, fair enough. All right. So then, does Carol ever get like ours? I guess first off, I guess I should say. So we obviously kind of, or you kind of gave away a little bit of the fact that the Kree are kind of still there for their own interest as well, more than just fighting the Skrulls. Does that interest support Carol at all, or is it like just their own interests? Like where are we at on the shady meter here?
The Kree are into some shady shit.
Okay.
And that is part of the plot of the movie, is discovering what the shady shit they're into is.
Okay.
And
does Carol put a stop to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Carol puts a stop to that. Once she learns what it is and understands kind of the ramifications and how she's been lied to and manipulated and controlled and things like that, Carol is all about shutting that shit down and doing some justice, which is nice.
Okay, so she's then fighting the Skrull and the Kree.
No.
No.
She is then just fighting the Kree.
So the Skrull invasion is done at that point. they're done with the scroll, and then
Yeah.
they're fighting the Kree. Okay.
The scroll don't really become the bad guys at the end of all that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That is a very interesting take on that one. All right.
See, I want to talk to you after you've seen the movie because I know it's going to be different than the comics, but you already know that going in and you knew that going in. So I would love to see kind of what you take away from it.
Fair enough. We will definitely have to do like a Captain Marvel 2 recap when we get Dylan on here, 'cause he's also seen
with
the
a lot
movie.
more of you ranting.
Yeah, that'll most likely happen. It usually does.
That's one of the things I count on you for.
Well, the funny part is it's like I try to save the ranting for when I'm not in the theater, but I feel like when I have an audience, and not obviously the audience didn't pay for their ticket to come listen to me rant, but it's a bonus. So they should thank me, honestly.
It's a service that you provide. It's important.
No, I'm the hero that nobody asked for, but the one that they got. So
And the one that talks too loud for people to ignore.
exactly. They could kick me out all they want, but I'll stand in the parking lot. Let's get it. Okay. So obviously we got Kree, shady shit. So does that cause any kind of issue between her and Fury with him knowing that she's Kree? Or does he even know that she's Kree?
He knows she's not human. He figures that out pretty fast, like when she falls through the roof of a blockbuster and does a few other things that are kind of clearly not human. But I don't know that he actively goes, oh, yes, you are a Kree. I don't think he has a damn clue what a Kree is or a scroll or any of that nonsense. And then over time, he's just like, okay, she can do some really scary shit. I'm going to stay out of her way when she does this with her hands. But it doesn't necessarily cause an issue beyond, since he doesn't totally understand or trust what she is or what she can do, he does kind of betray her at one point and then makes up for that.
Okay. Good old Nick Fury.
He's thinking of Earth first, and she understands, which is very accepting of her.
Oh, there you go. So do we actually see what the scrolls look like in the movie?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, we do.
Up a picture of that right now because I am very interested to see what they look like.
No! Do not.
I've already seen this in the trailer. Yeah, this is definitely in the trailer. I've already seen that. Yeah, where they're coming out of the fucking water. Yeah, it was in the trailer.
Yeah.
I just fucking forgot. I mean, they look pretty fucking close to the fucking scrolls in the comics. It's pretty interesting. Although they have a little bit more of like the fucking, as Star-Lord so eloquently put it, the nutsack chin, like Thanos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know. I mean, it's even more in the comics than it is in the movie to me because it seems like they all have kind of like that dimple to where theirs literally goes straight across in the comics and it looks just like fucking Thanos's. I remember growing up and reading the comics, and at first, before I knew what Thanos was, I actually thought Thanos was a Skrull for the longest time. And then I started to read more about just the Mad Titan himself and finding out that he had his own planet on a moon, and I was like, oh. So
see, I was really worried you were about to go. I was trying to figure out what a nutsack looked like, and I had to go and get a mirror.
No.
That's definitely where I thought you were going with that.
Nope. Believe it or not, both of them are there and in check and in place. So no, I knew what mine were. That's for sure. That was good enough. That was good enough. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Well, I mean, at least they kind of, I guess, did the scrolls justice. So was there like a captain leading the charge on the planet that was like
for the Skrulls?
Adversary? Yeah, for her to take down.
Yes, I really think there were kind of multiple types of Skrulls. Mm-hmm. There was some kind of more militaristic, badass jerks, and then there were more refugee type Skrulls. And so, yes, there was definitely some that were just ready to hurt people and blow shit up and like cause problems. And yeah, they definitely had to go and fight them, and it was interesting. They took on one of the personas of one of the most beloved people in all of Marvel. So. I'll let you figure out who that is. Yeah.
Gotcha.
You'll probably guess the moment he shows up on screen.
Probably. I mean, to me, it looks like they're just out there swimming in the beach. Looks like they're just trying to have a fun beach day, and then
that's really all that they wanted.
Carol Danvers just had to show up and fuck them up. And that's just rude. Scrolls just want to have fun, you know? Scrolls just want to have fun.
Oh, please sing it for us.
No, I was thinking about it, but no, it was close. Yeah, I mean, it would be, God, it'd be so interesting to see them like actually really hardcore into the fucking MCU and actually having the powers and stuff like that. Which that's the funny part that doesn't make sense in the comics is like whenever they take someone's powers, like they take their outfit and shit too. Which makes no sense. Like I'm looking at a picture right now, and there's like 5 scrolls rolling around with fucking Thor's hammer and his helmet and his shield and his or not his shield, but his cape and shit like that. One of them's like a fucking cybernetic Wolverine. It's got his own claws. I mean, a couple of them are flying around as Iron Man. One of them has Doctor Strange's cape. I mean, as a kid read the comics, it was just it's the scrolls. But now as an adult, I'm like, that makes absolutely zero fucking sense.
That makes zero damn sense. Like, they do not just make magical objects. Like, what the crap?
Apparently they do. Apparently they do. So, I don't know. It's definitely...
I mean, that would make them way more powerful of an enemy, let's be real.
Oh, for sure. 100%. It's definitely interesting, though. Definitely fucking interesting. Oh, and then there's the little old lady. Boom. Okay. Fair enough.
Yes, she does have a fight with the old lady. That does happen. I know you were excited about that, so it does happen.
I don't know if I'd say excited. I just thought that that was a very interesting choice for a trailer to make that part of the trailer. I don't know if I'd use the word excited, but it was definitely a very interesting choice. So, do we have any kind of like supreme leader of the Kree at all?
Yes, we totally do. And the relationship with that gets complicated and challenging, and it's yes.
Does it look like a normal Kree, though?
No, what it looks like is variable depending on who's looking at it.
Really? That's interesting.
Yep.
Because the old one was like a fat face and it had like these fucking like vine looking like things off the top of its head and shit like that. It looked really cool. So I was interested if that made it into the movie. There's a lot of differences that happen, obviously. One of the ones that I talked about with Little Miss Breezy is that because she went with us to go see Thor Ragnarok. And in Thor Ragnarok, the creator of the world or whatever who fucking hosts tournaments, he's actually like a fucking 800-pound yellow guy that sits in like this fucking spider leg chair contraption that has like all these fucking wires and shit coming out of the back of him and stuff.
Eep.
And that's what's plugged into like all the different networks to broadcast this live fucking fight that he has going on and shit like that. So I wondered if like, you know, obviously it's like, well, do we want to spend that much money CGI on this guy or get this fucking dude that everybody loves for some goddamn reason and throw him in here? Either way, I was okay with it, honestly. That dude was pretty funny. Did a good job.
I really adored Jeff Goldblum and everything that he did with that character because I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Pretty good. I will say my favorite part was definitely whenever he was just like they were leaving with the jet and then fucking what's his face was like, what does this button do? And it's just like, it's my birthday. I was like, that's pretty fucking funny.
I loved his general that he was just like, and what do we do to these types of people? And she's like, oh, we kill them. And he's like, no, what's wrong with you? Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? This is not a killing offense. I really enjoyed that. His character cracked me up.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Or like whenever he's sitting there talking to her and he's like, I always talk the best about you, always do. I always say, what is that one thing I always say about her? And she's like, trash. And he's like, you didn't even try. Like you're just waiting for me to stop talking so you could just say trash. Like, yeah, he's pretty good for sure.
Indeed.
Okay, so let's see. Fury's kind of left field, doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Kree is shady shit. So does Dr. Lawson die? Does that happen?
Yes.
Okay, so Dr. Lawson does die. Is this something that kind of really takes effect on Carol Danvers at all? Or is this kind of like how strong was Lawson's bond? I mean, because I believe, I don't know if you said it on here, but I know we definitely talked about it off screen. Lawson is a female in the movie, which is a change from the comics. It's a male in the comics, and there's a love interest there, which is why it makes it such a big deal when Lawson dies in the comics. So does Lawson die in the movie? You said yes. Was
Mm-hmm.
that a significant like hit on Danvers at all? Does it like help shape her into anything? Because Lawson dying in the comics is what leads to her eventually taking Captain Marvel as her title.
So I would say definitely yes, it does have an effect on her and it does shape her character, but I do want to be very transparent. It's not in the way that you would anticipate. It is not like, oh, this person died. They meant a lot to me. I am now sad and I will live on in their memory and do all of these important things and I will make myself great to honor them. And it's not that. It is something very different that it kind of defies a little bit of explanation without giving you the entire plot of the movie.
Okay. Okay.
So yes, but not the way it does in the comics.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Okay. Does Lawson at any point ever go by the name Captain Marvel in the movie?
We find out in not really flashbacks, but when Veers is trying to figure out who Carol was or who she was previously, she discovers that Dr. Lawson was known as Marvell. And so,
Gotcha.
yes,
Okay.
we do. That is part of the movie.
All right. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into end credit scenes.
Yes. So it does have an end credit scene, and it has two of them actually. And the first one is it's Captain and let's see, Black Widow and the Hulk and a few of the other our Avengers characters, and they have the pager that Captain Marvel that we saw at the end of Infinity War that Captain Marvel gave to Nick Fury. Basically, she hands it to him and she says, "Hey, only in the case of emergencies, let me know.
So
Call me, beat me," kind of thing. Yeah, so she leaves Earth, and
that is one powerful fucking beeper then. Jesus.
yes, she modified it so it could reach across multiple galaxies. So
God damn.
don't look at me. I have no idea how she did this.
Hashtag plot. All right.
Yeah, we did this to make plot happen. So they are working with that, and it's like sending out a signal, and then it loses power or something like that. And they're like, "Crap, we got to go plug it back in. Like, what's the problem here?" And the power goes out in the whole building, comes back on, and they're like, "Oh, nuts! Let's see if something fried it." And they turn around, and Captain Marvel's standing right there.
Oh. Okay.
And the only thing she says is, "Where is Nick Fury?"
Ooh. Ooh, that's gonna be interesting.
That's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna have to tell her.
That is true. Someone is going to have to tell her, and she is not gonna like the answer to that.
No.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Now hit me with the second one.
This second one, it is short and cute, and it's at the very, very end. So Nick Fury kept Goose. Mm-hmm. And primarily kept Goose because Goose ate the Tesseract.
Okay. And knows that.
And he knows that. Yeah,
Okay.
He saw it happen. And it's great because various people are like, "Oh, I wonder whatever happened to that little thing." And he's like, "Oh, it'll turn up eventually," and just like stares at Goose. And Goose jumps up on Nick Fury's, pencil pusher kind of desk at some point when Nick Fury isn't there and vomits out the Tesseract on his desk.
And then does it show anybody come and grab it or
Nope.
Nope.
It's just there, covered in cat vomit. It's kind of icky, actually.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, and then that's that leading into because we know for a fact the next person to touch it is possibly the Red Skull, maybe not.
That's a really good question. I'm not totally sure. I do know that Carol Danvers
had it first, right? Because you said that she had the Tesseract, whatever powers.
Yeah, Dr. Lawson had it, and then she was in the explosion that gave her all of her little powers. The Tesseract energy gave her powers, but she was unconscious. At which point, somebody else ended up with it, and I know who it was, but you'll figure it out in the movie. And some of the Skrull, basically. And she comes into contact with it at the end of the movie, and she just grabs it and is perfectly fine, which I recognize is not that big a deal because we've seen several people do that, but I also know you're not necessarily supposed to be able to do that. Like, if I did that, it'd be terrible.
Right.
And she just grabs it and she's perfectly fine. And Goose grabs it and is perfectly fine.
So that's automatically hinting that, she's going to be the one to possibly do something with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
Since she can just grab one of the stronger power stones and be completely fine. Okay.
Yeah. I don't even think she was affected. I don't even think she realized she did anything special.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So that's her tie into the Avengers. All right. So I think it would be pretty fun, obviously, and we'll go ahead and let you guys know now that the week of Avengers, I think we've even said this before, but the week of the Avengers will have a movie, Jesus, a video come out of us doing a study group. I don't know who's all going to be on it yet. It could just be me and Kelsey. Could be multiple of us where we're going to sit around, kind of talk theories and stuff like that. But since it's just me and you, so theory, Captain Marvel leading into the Avengers, what role, if you had to pick one thing that you think that she's going to be useful for, what do you think that's going to be in order to turn the tide here?
She is ridiculously powerful. She is so powerful. Some of the people that I was watching the movie with actually like left the theater like, hey, my suspension of disbelief was actually like kind of broke in the scene where she shows off her powers because she was so ridiculously powerful. Like, it doesn't even seem possible. And so I think bringing that into play will be huge. I think we're going to see a big power struggle between her and Cap because she's not used to taking orders, not anymore at least. And they kind of joke about that with her military side with the Kree, and that they keep trying to give her orders and she just does whatever she wants anyway. But I think once Cap sees her in action, he's going to be like, "Nope, fuck this, you can lead." Like, it'll be fine because she is so ridiculously powerful.
I mean, but powerful versus actual strategy are two different things, and Cap has that.
Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. I think she did demonstrate in the movie that she is more than capable of strategy and bringing strategy to play and being strategic in beating people and tricking people and surprising people and all of those things. But it will be interesting to see kind of how she fits into those relationships, because I'm anticipating a little bit of a standoff between her and like Black Widow, who wants people to follow a little bit more at this point, which is kind of weird for her character, but whatever.
I mean, she's at a point where like she's no longer like she's always been the person on the out due to her own choice. Now it's kind of like she's basically wanted at this point. So now you just kind of like go with what you know, and I think she just has like a lot of trust and a lot of admiration for Cap. So
yeah, and she wants everybody else to trust and respect him too, so he can be as effective as he can be. Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
As much as I love Iron Man, if I was a superhero and this shit was going down in Civil War, I would definitely be on Cap's side. There's no friends about that. As much as I love Iron Man, because Iron Man, in case anybody doesn't know, but I'm pretty sure I said this before, Iron Man is actually my favorite Marvel superhero overall. And the reason why I say that is because Deadpool is technically not a hero; he's an anti-hero.
I like how you
Marvel character is Deadpool. Yes, 100%. If I had to choose Deadpool or Iron Man, it's Deadpool 10 times out of 10 times. But my overall hero, Iron Man. My overall anti-hero is Deadpool, and my overall villain is Ultron. So, but I would still take Cap's side because I definitely would fall under the same beliefs that he would in this scenario. So, I would not be down for the Registration Act at all. So, because a lot of other shit goes into that a lot of people who don't read the comics don't know, which is like they were also all the villains that they were capturing, the Iron Man side of it, they were taking these nano chips and implanting them into the heads of the villains and then trying to turn them into reformed heroes and forcing them.
Ooh.
And the first person to understand that they could not only break that technology but use it to mass span their thoughts across to other villains and use them as their own kind of like guinea pigs or set them free and use them as teammates was Venom, and that is not the best person to start that. Thank God it wasn't Carnage.
No.
But Venom is definitely not the next best person I would want to have that. So, but yeah.
Oh man.
So then all of a sudden, like superheroes are getting hurt because they're also locked up in the same prison because they're being treated as criminals for not registering with the Registration Act. So they're being hunted down like common criminals, even though they're still out there fighting and doing what's right. And one of the best scenes, and it's like every time I watch this scene, I'm like, fuck, that had to hurt. Is like Iron Man asks Cap to meet him, so Cap uses cloak and dagger to like kind of like kind of cloak them, haha, and teleport them onto this helicarrier. And then like Iron Man and them were talking, and Iron Man's like, "Look, it doesn't have to be this way." And Iron Man's like, "You're right," and or no, Captain America's like, "You're right." And then like you could just tell Cap knows it's a fucking trap. Cap just fucking knows, and Cap is Cap. He's got that fucking strategy shit down before it even happens. So like they go to fucking like go put this trap into play, and it's like as soon as Iron Man shakes his hand, that's when everybody's supposed to like try to take everybody down, and Iron Man was gonna have this contraption that wraps around Cap's hand and just kind of like puts him down, and then does like a magnet thing that brings the shield to it, so Cap can't move.
Mm-hmm.
And like they go to shake hands, and all of a sudden like Tony's whole suit just starts to malfunction, and Cap had this little itty bitty piece in his glove that it just grabbed onto fucking Iron Man's thing, shuts his whole suit down. His fucking mask was open, and Captain America straight shield to the fucking face. I was like, oh my god. There's
Oh
no
wow.
way he didn't break Iron Man's fucking nose. Oh my god. Knocks him
Oh.
out, looks at him, is like, sorry, Tony. And it takes off and starts fucking helping the rest of the team and gets out. I was like, holy shit.
Oh my god, that. Oh.
But because we're talking about it, this part I have to talk about because I've never told Kelsey this, and this is easily probably one of the best parts of the fucking Civil War. In that game, at least. They did it in the comics too, but in the game it was so much more because one, you're watching these characters talk and you're seeing it happen in front of you because it was cinematic. It wasn't a part that you played. So like it comes down to the last fight where it's just Iron Man versus Captain America, and Iron Man's still trying to talk Reese to him. He's like, "What is it, Tony? What is it? Why are you doing this?" And he's all like, "Let me guess. Uh, big upgrade. You get a nice promotion. Be the next director of Shield since Fury's out of the spot." And he goes, "Oh wait, no, they wouldn't let a drunk like you in the White House anyway." I was like, "No fucking way! Oh my god!" And then Iron Man's mask just falls down like over his face because he had it up, and the eyes go from blue to red. And he goes, "You're gonna regret that you just went there." And I was like, "Oh shit!" I just love it. He's all like, "Let me guess, big promotion, shiny new desk. You'll be able to be lead a Shield." Oh wait, they wouldn't let a drunk like you in the White House anyway. I was like, "Oh my god!" He just went there. Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Dude.
yeah, shit got real. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty fucking intense.
Honestly, it sounds like a game I'd really like to play.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like the what is that? Marvel oh god, Ultimate Alliance. That one was the second one. Yeah, there's only been two. I love whenever you meet Deadpool because he's like off the walls. Like they're like, oh my god, there's this crazy man downtown, fucking just losing his shit, and then like you show up there the first time you see Deadpool, and he's like, I come here for the fucking cherry blossoms, and I'm just trying to sit here and enjoy the cherry blossoms, and everybody's asking me fucking questions like, what are you doing? Why are you in a suit? Have you registered? Have you not registered? I just want to see the fucking cherry blossoms. Oh, and now you guys want to show up and fight me? Well, let's fucking do it. And I was like, that's Deadpool. Love it. He's like losing his fuck, and like the whole time he's talking, he's like they're like in this town square, and they're around this waterfall, or not waterfall, but fucking goddamn, I don't know. My brain is gone at this point. But
Fountain?
sure, there we go. Let's go with that. I don't even know if that's correct, but anyways, and it's just fucking teleporting all over the square and just yelling the entire time. He's just fucking teleporting, and like he's like even getting on his own nerves, which makes it even more fucking funny. Oh god, it was so good. I fucking love that game. It was so good. So well done. So well done. Uh, all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. That seems to be pretty much everything I think we covered. I don't think there's really too much more to the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie and this interests you to go see it, I strongly suggest you go watch it because it will tie into the Avengers. So that way you can kind of understand the power level of Captain Marvel and understand what she is going to be bringing to the table. As far as how possibly maybe they could turn the tides on Thanos, who knows? Like I said in the comics, Thanos wins. Maybe in the movies he doesn't. Who knows? Maybe this might be it. My personal theory is I think that she's going to be used as basically the main instrument to get the Thanos or to get the Infinity Gauntlet away from Thanos. I think our biggest key here in possibly being able to see our other superheroes return is Ant-Man, unfortunately. I think he's going to be the big key here. Because
Yeah.
you watched the second Ant-Man and Wasp, right?
Yes, I did.
And you watched the end credit scene.
Yes, I did.
So I believe the reason why he wasn't infected was because he was in that dimension. I think that's why he wasn't infected by the snap at all. I know it's random, but I still think that the reason because he didn't get affected was because he was in that dimension. That's.
So you think he should have died,
I
but
think if he would have been out in the actual world, he would have been one of the ones to go as well. But I think it was very important for them to be like, okay, we're going to put him in this other dimension, and then now the snap happens, and now everybody's gone. So I think that dimension's going to come into play and possibly be somewhere where they can use that as kind of like a time warp to get everybody else back. I think is where they're going to go with that. Because the time stone's not going to be able to work. That's not going to happen. It's going to be too far gone for them to be able to bring everybody back. That's not going to happen. They're not going to literally be like, all right, Captain Marvel's here, and she rips the fucking gauntlet off, and then all of a sudden it's like, use the time stone, and now everybody's back. Now let's beat him up. Like that. If they do that, that's going to be the worst ending to one of the most powerful fucking franchises to ever grace the fucking theaters. Like that would be terrible. That would be absolute terrible. I would much rather just watch Captain Marvel beat Thanos' fucking face in and then just leave his body dead and everybody who died just stays dead. I would much rather see that than that bullshit. So, but, I mean, what we know so far, fucking Doctor Strange knows that there is some way that we win, and it has to do with Tony being alive because he gave up the stone in order for Tony to live. So we know that much. We know that she can touch the stones. She's being brought in for a reason. So once those two get in a room, we also know that Ant-Man can travel into different dimensions. He knows how to do it. He's helped build the machines. That's going to be a big play in my opinion. So all of those together, I think, are going to be what kind of or makes a plan in order for us to possibly get, because I think that's going to be their main thing. Yes, Thanos won. But at this point, everybody knows that Thanos is basically like, all right, cool. Now I'll just live out life.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's done now.
I think phase 1 is going to be getting everyone back, and then taking down Thanos.
Assuming that
that Thanos loses.
They are somewhere. More importantly.
Yeah. True. And that's like one of the biggest things that a lot of people think is that because of the different dimensions that they didn't actually die. They were just sent somewhere else. So,
it would be. I recognize the Soul Stones kind of have their own agenda. Like they're treated in at least the movies like they are not necessarily just these tools to be utilized by whoever is touching them. They seem like they do have, like, the Soul Stone exacts a powerful price, a terrible price, so you know what its power is, kind of thing. And so it seems like they have an agenda of their own. It just seems kind of like a really big use of that agenda to have someone try to wield them, going, this is what I want you to do, and them going, yeah, except we're not. We're just going to make you think that we are. That makes sense.
Well,
I'm kind of hesitant with that theory.
Well, it's like the only person that we have that's telling us that that's how that's supposed to be is Thanos. And it's like, how does he know that? How does he know exactly? Like, yeah, he knew that if he could get it, he could set the world right. But who's telling him all this information? I mean, I know who it is in the comics. I don't know who it is in the movie because we haven't seen anywhere near close to that fucking being even being a fucking thought. So...
Oh, so it wasn't Ultron.
No.
Okay.
Ultron had zero
that was my guess.
No, Ultron had zero to do with the stones. Plus, he's dead in the movies at this point. So.
Yeah, I know. I just wasn't sure if that was his source of knowledge in the comics.
Actually, you kind of somewhat learned about it in the Nebula DFU.
Oh.
Because I told you he went on that mental training with that cosmic being, and that's whenever Nebula stole the gauntlet from him. That's who was giving him all this information.
Okay, so it's not death either. All right, all of my theories have been knocked out of the ring.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, we will be doing a DFU study group, so make sure you pay attention for that when it comes out. That will be the week of the Avengers release. You'll be able to come, listen to us gather all of our notes, talk about theories, talk about what we think is going to happen, what we want to happen, what happened in the comics, what's happened so far in the movies. We're going to dissect the whole thing. I have no idea how long that episode's going to be. Depending on how many of us there are, it probably could be pretty long. You might be looking at a podcast. Who fucking knows? But it will be a DFU episode, so make sure you check out for that. It will officially be part of the study group series of the DFU. So it will not be a teacher-student thing. It will be all of us coming together and trying to pull all the information together and bounce off each other's theories to make one solid point. Not necessarily that we will all agree with, but what we possibly will think will happen. We'll have our predictions, and then we will go see the movie and then have a review show afterwards talking about who got it the closest, who got it dead on, who was not even fucking close. Most likely Dylan is probably going to fall in that category.
Oh, God, yes. Way worse than me. One quick note. We will be reviewing everyone who's still alive and where they are, because right now our team is kind of split up in all kinds of different places. And so that will be part of it, is kind of a, oh, yeah, shit, Iron Man and Nebula are way out there by themselves. And so that will be part of what we talk about. So even if you just want to come for that, you should really come for the whole thing, because it's going to be great. But
yeah, for sure.
Even if you just want to come for that, you absolutely should.
Absolutely. 100%. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review show just as much as we enjoyed doing it for you. And if you did, make sure that you like and subscribe. Also, make sure you turn on those notifications. That way you get notified every time we upload another video, because you don't want to miss out on the study group for Endgame. Also, make sure you hit us in the comments below. Let us know what you thought about Captain Marvel and how your thoughts on the movie, your thought process as far as her going into the Avengers, how you feel about her powers, pretty much anything about that you want to talk about the movie, because we'll fucking talk about it with you. And your thoughts about Endgame and what you would like if there is a special topic that you would like us to go over in the DFU study group. That could be a cool little spot for you to throw it down there, and then we could possibly talk about it then. Not promising anything, just saying we look at the comments. Anyways, make sure that you hit us up on the Twitters if you want a more direct form of communication, and the Twitches if you want to come hang out while we play some video games. But if you know all this, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time.